Greetings, dear students. Today is an interesting day because today we are going to see a genre called drama. So drama is interesting always. The reason is that drama, it deals with human life. We are not only reading a drama, we do cherish the characters in the drama. We become one with the drama. This is the success of actually cinemas and serials. When you do look at cinemas, what will happen? We become one with the character. In the past, people, they just consider themselves as one among the characters in the form of dramas. If you look at the Indian dramas, they do cherish our mythology, our culture, and our tradition. So, Girish Karnad has written a play called Yayati in Indian style. That's why this play Yayati has been cherished even after so many years. My dear students, let us go inside this Indian writing in English. Can we go inside the drama? Indian writing in English. Dear students, what a beautiful writing is this. Hence, M.K. Nayak, a well-known critic, defines Indian writing in English as literature written originally in English by authors Indian by birth, ancestry, and nationality. See, his words are very much true. Our own authors, they are writing about our own culture and our forefathers in a foreign language so that our tradition reaches the whole world. So can we go inside the drama, students? If you look at the origin of Indian writing in English, actually it had started with Sanskrit plays. In the 18th century, we had something called Natya Sastra, and that was actually the origin of our plays, Indian plays. Indian writing in English started like this. Rabindranath Tagore and Sri Aurobindo are the two great sages even today. They were not only poets of India, but they are the two great Indian dramatists in English worth considering. Apart from that, if you just look at the works of the people which appeared in the literary horizons in 1871, we have two memorable people known as Krishna Mohan Banerjee and Michael Madhusudan Dutt. Krishna Mohan Banerjee's The Persecuted and Michael Madhusudanan Dutt's Is This Called Civilizations are memorable even today. If you look at the person who has added a new dimension to Indian writing in English, we need to remember Harendranath Chattopadhyay. Apart from that, we do have few memorable prominent writers known as D.M. Borgnokar, Frizee, Balwant Gargi, Kailasam, Bharati Sarabhai, Lobu Prabhu, Krishnaswamy, Raboot, Satyadev Jaggi, Pritish Nandi. And apart from that, if you just look at the Indian writing in English, actually, it had started like a tragic comedy. And because of the introduction of Indo-American phase, we do have a new move known as Indian writing in English. Indian writing in English actually started with one act plays. Writers like Vijay Tendulkar, Girish Karnad, Badal Chirkar, Raja Rao, they do focus on social, political and psychological problems, whereas if you do look at like dramatists like Magesh Dattani, they do bother about sensitive issues like communalism, homosexuality, etc. Even today, even in post-independent dramas and poetries and fictions, you can see some sensitive issues. And if you just look at the lack of living theatres in India, The reason behind them is that it has not been encouraged and uplifted by many living theatres due to the mythological background that our Indian writings are having. Our Indian writings are having not only mythological background but cultural heritage too. Our stories are filled with legendary, and not only that, in Indian writing, you do have a showcase and a transfer of knowledge that our forefathers had. Underneath all Indian writings, we do have our cultural ethos. One could see the values, principles, and rules and codes and the experiences of our ancestors in all our Indian writings. Thus, starting from Girish Karnad, ending from Mahesh Dattani, Indian writing in English, whether it is one-act play or five-act play, whether it is a pre-modern era or post-modern era, it does stands the test of time. Apart from writers, there are few general features for Indian writing. What are they? Particularly, Indian writing in English focuses on religion and the deeds of great men, and they do cherish the human values. They give importance to obedience, bravery, love, mortality. And all these things are said in poetic form most of the time, and that is the greatness of Indian writing in English. If you just look at the modern themes of Indian writing, they do focus on globalization, modernization, urbanization, industrialization, feminism, and women empowerment. Apart from that, they do give importance to the changing social dynamics of the world. If you look at the settings, definitely they are oriented towards culture. They do give importance to mythic. They do give importance to custom and tradition. And definitely there will be a conflict between good and the evil. And most of the time, the stories might have been legendary stories. So this is the greatness and the difference of Indian writing in English from other writings of the world. Yayati by Girish Karnad. Who is this Girish Karnad? If you just look at the biography of Girish Karnad, he was born in Maharashtra in India, and he had completed his Bachelor of Arts in Karnataka Arts College, and he was an alma mater of Oxford University. And he got many awards. The highest among them were 4 Filmfare Awards, Padma Shri Awards, and Padma Bhushan Awards. If you look at the famous works of Girish Karnad, we do always remember Duklak and Telanda. Apart from that, if you look at his service, he had serviced as the director of Film and Television Institute of India, and apart from that, he had rendered his service as the chairman of Sangeet Natak Academy, and not only that, he had been the chairman of the National Academy of Performing Arts. He had worked in Oxford University too, and he had visited University of Chicago as the visiting professor. See, this contemporary Indian playwright, he had just translated many plays to English. Some of his plays have been translated into many languages, and due to his service to the play and the drama, he got, in 1998, he got Janpith Award. This is the greatest award in India for literary achievements. He died in 2019 at Bengaluru. We do remember this playwright for all his contributions to literature. The Yayati was written at the young age of Girish Karnad. We do celebrate Yayati even today because it is not only a drama. It is an outpour of emotion. Yayati is an emotional and psychological drama. If you look at the general theme of this play, we can see that in this play, mythology and history, these two things are the primary one. There is an internal conflict in all the main characters, and they do just fight between their psychology and philosophy in life. If you look at the basic story of Yayati, we can see that the insatiable desire of King Yayati and worldly desires lead him to usurp the youth of his son Puru in return of his old age. See, this desire is there with almost everybody. Though we are not going to just take away the youth of a person, we do have insatiable desires with almost all the human beings in the world. This curse has been obtained from his father-in-law Sukracharya for his infidelity. His self-realization dawns on him when he realizes the truth. See, ultimately again, if you look at the basic story of Yayati, it focuses on internal conflict. It is the fight between the good and the evil, our desire and the truth. If you go into the theme of this Yayati, it talks about the ironies of life, the responsibility of each character on this earth, and how our attitude decides our results. If you suppose you are responsible, what will happen? If you are irresponsible, what you need to face? And if your desire exceeds the limit, your love, lust, anger, vengeance, sacrifice, and self-realization, if suppose they are not going to be bounded, then definitely you are going to face some difficulties in life. This is the lesson we learn from Yayati. And the style of Yayati, if you look, it's a combination of culture, tradition, myth and modernity. What a beautiful play is this play. Yayati, this play is having importance even today. Why? The reason is that it has been taken from the great epic Mahabharata. The story of Yayati has appeared in Adi Parvata from the great epic Mahabharata. In this story, myth and legend, these two things are brought together in the form of folk narration. The language used here is always related with mythology. The play was written in 1980 and this was the first play written by the playwright Girish Karnad at the age of 22. The play is full of symbols and myth and thereby Yayati is important even today. Yayati is having few characters. It's not just filled with too many characters. We have only handful of characters in Yayati. If you look at the characters, Yayati, the king, he is the first and important character in Yayati. Apart from King Yayati, we have Devayani, we have Sharmista, we have Asraguru Sukracharya, we have Chitralekha, Puru, and at last the maid Swarnalata. Each one of them, they have a prominent role to play. But if you do focus mainly on this topic, it is actually a fight between two people, two women characters, that is Sharmista and Devayani. To learn about the role played by each character in Yayati, we need to just know that Yayati is the king of Prayaga and Devayani is the queen of Yayati. And not only that, she is the daughter of Asraguru Sukracharya and her maid is Swarnalata. Sharmista is the farmer friend of Devayani. She is the princess of Asuras and not only that, at present, she is the slave of Devayani due to the curse from Shukracharya. Puru is the son of Yayati. He is the prince of Pragya and he is the husband of Chitralekha. Chitralekha is the daughter-in-law of Yayati, the king. If you just look at the main instance in Act 1, we can see that it talks about the attitude of Sharmista, it talks about the arrival of Poru, it talks about the quarrel between Sharmista and Devyani, and it shows the attitude of Sharmista and the caring of Yayati and the flashback, how readers are having sympathy towards Sharmista, and at last how Yayati and Sharmista are united. So the whole play actually is said in a nutshell in Act 1. So out of these 4 acts, this act introduces almost everything. Act 1 is important because Act 1 is having a setting. The setting is King Yayati's palace, and particularly the inner chamber of King Yayati's palace. A dramatist has started a play with an inner chamber. So why? Why is it so? So there comes a question in the mind of the readers before the play starts. And this is how Girish Karnad kindles the emotions of the readers. Let us go inside the play. Act 1 starts with a conversation between Devyani and Swarnalatha. The play opens with a conversation, and it's a wonderful conversation to introduce a character called Sarmishta. Swarnalatha, the maid, complains the queen that the slave Sarmishta is having a foul tongue with which she makes venomous talks about the people in the palace. And Sharmista has been doing it for the past 2 years. She didn't even leave the king as an excuse, says Swarnalatha, the maid. She further says that the lady is satanic and nasty. Reader, note it. Swarnalatha says that Sharmista is satanic and nasty. Not only that, Sharmista has the ability to offend people easily and make them frozen. And they feel discomfort, and without any other say, they just nod their heads or at the talk of Sharmista. See what a character is she, like says Swarna. Because of this deep emotional effect with Sharmista, everyone has a fear for Sharmista and they become addicted to her. She further says that she enters even the hidden side of one's brain. My dear students, remember Sharmista has the capability to enter the hidden side of one's brain. What is the meaning of that? She can read even the things that are there in the brain of a person. So the playwright has beautifully brought the attitude and character of Sharmista through another character known as Swarnalatha, the maid. It is clearly shown that none of the people in the palace are having any good opinion about Sharmista. Now, the readers too are not having any good opinion on her. Devyani, Swarnalatha, Yayati and almost all the people in the palace are having a bad opinion about Sharmista. We can just know all these things from the conversation between Devyani and Swarnalatha. Dear students, after the disappearance of Swarnalatha, the maid, Sharmista enters. The playwright has narrated the past incidents through the conversation between Devyani and Sharmista. The readers who despise Sharmista through the depiction of Swarnalatha begin to feel sorry for her due to her unpleasant past. Sharmista, who has been the princess of Rakshasas, has a beautiful friendship with Devayani. Sharmista has enjoyed all comforts in the world and she has been sharing many things with Devayani. Though Devayani bothers much about the creed and caste of Sharmista. The hidden character of Devayani comes out when the clothes are exchanged between the two. When Devayani accuses Sharmista of her low-born creed, Sharmista is irritated and pushes her into a well in a moment of fits, and hence got the curse from the father of Devayani. Remember, my dear student, she got the curse from whom? From the father of Devayani. Who is the father of Devayani? The Asura Guru Shukracharya. So, no one can do anything regarding the curse. The playwright introduces the protagonist of the play, King Yayati, in between the conversation. Sharmista accuses Devayani for marrying an Arya king just by being the daughter of Asura Guru, who has the Sanjeevani mantra with him, with which he could give immortality to men. So no king has the guts to speak against the Asura Guru because they always need the help of the Guru. The readers have come to know that Devayani has been already cheated by one of the disciples of her father. His name is Kacha, and because of that bad experience, Devayani is ready to marry the king by intimating him that she is the daughter of Asura Guru Sukracharya. When Sharmista says all this, Devayani cannot just accept this and she refuses the blabbering of Sharmista, though inside her mind she wants to question the king regarding this. The scene ends with the arrival of King Yayati. So what a beautiful characterization. The characteristic of Devayani is shown clearly here. She is so meek that she could be easily tempted by anyone. The vengeance of Sharmista and Devayani is being depicted here. And apart from that, the playwright justifies, remember dear students, justifies the act of Sharmista in a way or other, as it is Devayani who has initiated the fight for a mean cause. The use of myth, the information regarding the Sanjeevani, the symbol of holding the hand, etc. makes the play a typical Girish Karnad's play. In Girish Karnad's play, definitely there will be an intertwining of tradition and modernity, and we do have them here. Sharmista disappears as soon as the conversation between Devayani and Sharmista got over. Then Yayati, the king, enters and meets his wife Devayani. He wants to discuss about the decorations to welcome their son Puru. And he is newly married and his wife's name is Chitralekha. The brief conversation between King Yayati and Devayani is shown in this act. The readers are unaware of the fact that this scene decides the aftermath of the play. Yes, it is one of the important scenes. The protagonist, King Yayati, follows the typical characteristics of king when he tries to interfere with the problems of his kingdom. When he is questioned about the love and sincerity that he has for his queen by the queen herself, he answers it in a playful manner. From this, the readers can understand that King Yayati is casual, sincere, and loves his queen more than anything. The suspicion that is created in the mind of the queen by her slave is so strong that she hesitates to leave the king in the presence of Sharmista, the slave. The king orders Swarnalatha, the maid, to bring Sharmista, the slave of Devayani, in order to settle the problem that is existing in the kingdom. The king wants to interfere in the affairs of Devayani. He wants to help her. He wants to resolve the fight, and he decides to punish Sharmista too, as she continues to show her poisonous nature to almost all the people in the palace. My dear reader, remember, he wants to punish, and this is the only intention of King Yayati when he calls Sharmista. The playwright portrays the character of the king here. He is generally good. King Yayati is good. He is ready to welcome his son. He tries to resolve the fight among his courtmen. He tries to comfort his queen. He is ready to follow the custom and tradition. He follows the norms of his country. He marries a girl who does not belong to Arya race for the sake of just holding her right hand. See, one can understand the characters of King Yayati from this scene. He has many positive aspects to his credit. Apart from this, the play is full of examples from tradition and culture. The hesitation of Devayani to leave her beloved king with Sharmista is purposely made by the playwright as a hint to know the true nature of Sharmista. Sharmista is capable of reading the minds of the people. Sharmista is capable of changing the minds of people. Sharmista is capable of dragging the men towards her. The readers may not know the fear of Devayani till the next conversation. This is an important part of the play, the conversation between Yayati and Sharmista. To say the truth, King Yayati is the hero and Sharmista is the heroine of the play, though it is not mentioned anywhere, as these two people actually decides the aftermath of the play. The conversation between Yayati and Sharmista is so beautiful that the playwright has decided to have this in a special way. Queen Devayani leaves the palace after the arrival of Sharmista, as per the command of the King Yayati. Yayati confronts Sharmista. He scolds her for her harridan nature, which is just opposite to her royal birth. After listening to that, Sharmista just cries and justifies her act, stating that she tries to console herself and tries to maintain her royal blood, at least by abusing people in and around. People now fear for Sharmista, if not for anything, at least for the sake of her tongue, venomous tongue, says Sharmista. She narrates the flashback from her point of view. She has informed him that she has, of course, pushed her friend Devayani into the well for calling her and her race as a mean and poor one. Sharmista says that people will definitely be angry if you have been mentioned about your cast and crew. Sharmista informs him that she weeps for a long time for her activity, and Sharmista further says that she had been having a close relationship with Devayani. She has treated Devayani like anything, but Devayani never bothers about all those things. Sharmista shows the lethal of poison in her hand to King Yayati. Sharmista says that I am waiting for an opportunity to drink this. If I have tried, I could have given this poison to anyone, but I don't want this. When she is about to drink this ladle of poison, King Yayati just holds her by her right hand. Now, my dear students, remember, as she is the princess by birth, Ashura princess of course, the person who is just holding her hand, that is right hand, is the king. As per the rule and the custom of the kingdom, he has to marry her. Hence, Yayati accepts to have her as his second queen. Sharmista just holds calm. She feels as if she has taken a revenge on Devayani. She says that she is not interested in exhorting him, but still she likes rather to die. The scene and the act ends with the entrance of Swarnalatha. See, in this scene, the playwright has shown the tricky words of Sharmista beautifully, and the character of Yayati too, and how these two incidents are going to just sow the seeds for the further incidents in the play. Thus, this first act is so essential in deciding the incidents of the play. See, the readers have come to know about the past and they can just view the future too from that one. The second act starts with the union between Sharmista and Yayati. Sharmista has planned to leave the kingdom after her union with the king. She boldly questions the attitude of the king when he tries to console her. She further warns him regarding the poisonous nature of Devayani. Devayani enters while Sharmista is conversing with King Yayati. Though Devayani is irritated with the union of these two, she requests the king to send Sharmista out of the kingdom. But King Yayati refuses as he says that he enjoys the company of Sharmista. He further says that Sharmista rejuvenates his mind and makes him to feel young. Though Devayani is disappointed because of this, she didn't say a word to King Yayati. She just moves away from that place. Now, the dramatist has introduced another character in this play called Prince Puru. Prince Puru and his wife Chitralekha are entering into the palace now. In this scene, the dramatist beautifully describes the irresponsibility of the Prince Puru and his desire towards solitude. He neither bothers about his wife nor bothers about the affairs of the state. The dramatist beautifully describes the bond between Sharmista and Yayati. The bond which should be there between king and Devayani is not there, while there exists a beautiful rapport between Sharmista and Yayati. Sharmista regrets about her union with Yayati, though she had done it for the sake of revenging Devayani. Sharmista says that Yayati, the king, is good, he is powerful, but he is naive. Anybody can just easily cheat him. She foresees the wrath of Devayani and the wrath of the father of Devayani, that is the Asura Guru Sukracharya. Hence, she decides to leave the kingdom. But Yayati is not ready to accept all those things. He is not ready to think about the future at all. He is very crazy regarding Sharmista that he is ready to marry her. He says that he is ready to make her as the second queen even because her company is unavoidable to him. Devayani again requests King Yayati to send Sharmista out of the palace and ask him to ignore the whereabouts of Sharmista. She says that she is ready to just forgive the acts of King Yayati. The anger of Devayani on Sharmista is so much that she says that he can have n number of concubines but for Sharmista. The Yayati is irritated because of that. Yayati says that I am not ready to send Sharmista out of the kingdom because I am so entranced by her intelligence, says King Yayati. While the conversation is going on between Devayani and Yayati, Swarnalatha, the maid, enters and she just informs the arrival of Puru. The prince Puru is accompanying the uh, princess of the kingdom Chitralekha, that is the wife of Puru. See now, two more characters are being introduced by the playwright, Puru and his wife Chitralekha, that is the daughter-in-law of Devayani. Devayani leaves the palace as soon as she knows the arrival of her father. Now, there is a conversation between Yayati and Puru. From the conversation between Puru and Yayati, the readers have come to know about the character attitude of Puru. Though he is a prince, he is not having the characteristics of a prince. His disenchantment with Chitralekha proves that he is not interested in the marriage affairs. The reason is that Chitralekha too married him for the sake of the Arya race, not because of the fondness with the prince. Not only that, he has come to know about his birth details. Yayati informs him that his mother is a Rakshasa woman and Puru is a half caste. Sukracharya, believing the words of his daughter, cursed Yayati to attain old age. Though Puru has requested Sukracharya to take the curse back, it just goes in vain. He requested all the ministers and the people of the kingdom to just take the curse of the king, but nobody responded. Meanwhile, Yayati, who is waiting for Puru's arrival, scolds him immensely, thinking that he hesitates to just come and meet Yayati. Sharmista for ruining his life. See, this King Yayati scolds his son as well as his second queen, Sharmista, for ruining his life. King Yayati is good, but at the same time he is short-tempered. He recollects his happy days. He doubts the attitude of Puru because he is not returning on time. He tells Sharmista that he always likes to be young and he always likes to be with people and he longs to live a life of luxury. The readers can see the attitude of Sharmista, Puru and Yayati from this beautiful description. Yayati says that he loves to be with the people and he is not ready to suffer from decrepitude. Puru has informed him that he is ready to sacrifice his youth. You imagine a son is ready to take the old age of the father. What a son is he. Yayati lists about the death risk that he has taken for the sake of his country. He is not ready to accept the sacrifices of Puru also, but at the same time he longs for its youth. Sharmista requests the King Yayati to accept the curse and do penance in forest, though she is scolded by King Yayati. Her love for the king is so much that she is ready to sacrifice her youth and she is ready to accompany him to the forest even in his decrepitude. You imagine now the character of Sharmista, how she was introduced in the first scene, now how she is being carried out by the beautiful descriptions of the dramatist. Act 4 starts with the decrepitude farm attained by Prince Poru. He wants to meet his wife and plans to make a requisition to her. He wants to request her to forgive him. Meanwhile, the dramatist shows us that there is a beautiful relationship between Chitralekha and Swarnalatha, the maid. A conversation is being shown to us. That conversation introduces the past of Swarnalatha to the readers. Chitralekha, during the conversation, enquires about the auspicious, holy pendant of Bharata family. See, the moment she enters inside the palace, Chitralekha sees the holy pendant lying down near the cart. And she just questions the maid regarding that. Chitralekha wonders about the strange nature of people in the kingdom, who always remains calm unlike her kingdom, that is her father's kingdom. Swarnalatha tries to relax her and tries to console her. And then Swarnalatha says that we need to accept whatever comes in our way. Then she informs regarding the arrival of Prince Poru. Poru describes Chitralekha regarding his expectation. Though Chitralekha promises to just abide by the words of Poru, she screams while she looks at the face of Poru in the light. She asks him to get out of the palace. She has come to know about the Swarnalatha's past and feels sorry for her. And that is the only reason for her agreement to meet King Yayati and Sharmista. Chitralekha's skills are described detailedly in this scene through the words of Yayati. Yayati praises Chitralekha for her attitude, for her bravery, and then requests Chitralekha to just accept Poru as he is, for the sake of the country. For that, Chitralekha just says a big no. Chitralekha questions the king when he shouts at her. Chitralekha says that only her husband has the right to question or scold her. On seeing the reactions of Chitralekha, Yayati tries to convince her. Yayati just goes little bit down. He even requests her to just accept things as it is. He asks her to act as a Bharata queen. He further says that once the problems of the kingdom is over, he will definitely come back and take the curse back. The only thing is that it may take 4 to 5 years, says King Yayati. Chitralekha's characters are being described in a beautiful manner here. Chitralekha is bold. Chitralekha is beautiful. Chitralekha is skillful. She boldly informs Yayati that she has married the prince for the sake of his youth, for the sake of his Arya race. As Yayati the king has taken the youth from his son, he has to accept Chitralekha too, because Chitralekha has married the prince for the sake of his youth only. She further asks him not to behave like normal human beings. On hearing this, Yayati got irritated. Yayati scolds her. Then she takes the vial of poison in her hand and swallows it immediately. Yayati did not expect this. He tries to hold her and stop her, but hesitates, because again holding the right hand means marrying. So next moment, Chitralekha smiles and dies. Swarnalatha, who has been watching all these events, turns mad. And Sharmistha, who has been just viewing all this, scolds the king for his greed. Act 4 is such a play. This play, Act 4, ends with the reconciliation of King Yayati. So the dramatist has shown the development and the tragic flaw in a character in a beautiful manner. Yayati, who feels guilty about his attitude. Yayati feels sorry for his attitude towards the end. And he just understands that man has to reach his old age one day or other, and hence he embraces Puru and got his decrepit form back. Sharmistha says that Chitralekha's death is not a suicide, it is a slaughter. The slaughter has been made by the irresponsible decisions of the people in the palace. She then blesses Puru and leaves the palace along with Yayati. We can see the love and the fairness of Sharmistha here. Puru feels bad about the death of Chitralekha. He now understands the responsibilities with which he was born with. Now his senses are blighted and he becomes a responsible person, and he has decided to rule the kingdom happily ever after.